Hello, all of you listeners out there. Please keep your station tuned to Progressive Minds on WGHC 98.3 FM, Chicago.
Hello, lovely people. You're welcome back to Progressive Mind Show on WGHC 98.3. Hey, Juliana, Citri, Bonsu, you're watching live. Jemima, I know Rudy is watching. What's up, Rudy? Hey, I know to my 94, 96 Omsu folks, I know you can relate to this music, man. Black was just mentioning the Matador. The Matador, Papa Spellite. Remember the song, The Matador, way back? Man, I used to jam to this song. I used to like to move to this kind of song. Well, as you may have heard it, they say we are talking about African medical myths today. So it's gonna be nice. Let me just read this announcement once again. The Martyrs International is celebrating July 4th with the 25th International Festival of Life anniversary. Wicked and Wild. Martin International is the guy that brings Buju Banton, Barry Salmon. Hey, Buju is out. Buju is out, and he has an album out. So there are plans of him coming to Chicago for all you reggae fans out there. All the big artists, from Sizzla to Barry's to Heritage, mentioned that Martin takes them to all over the world, Chicago, New York, wherever, and he's bringing them this year to the Union Park at 1501 West Randolph, Chicago. The number to call for more information is 312-427-0266. Email is firstoflife@gmail.com. And then on the 15th, do not forget the Kakon is coming on live. We'll dive straight into our show tonight. Dr. Gameli Dekayi, how are you?
I'm great, thank
you.
Yes,
did you enjoy the ride down this way?
I did. It was traffic-free on Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. You like our studio, our station?
It's beautiful.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
No, we're trying
It's not my first time,
Yeah, I remember. I remember you were here with Dr. Chantel.
Yes, my partner in crime.
Your partner in crime, right. And but there has been changes since the last time you came.
Yes.
And
yes.
We are even trying to improve more. This year we want to go 20 miles. So by the end of this year, right now we are only 8x8. And so if you're listening to us on 98 around here in Uptown area and downtown Evanston, you'll be okay. If you are not able to dial in, just let's go on the website, Facebook, TuneIn app, and then the phone number, which is 563-999-3221. We have various ways you can listen to us. If you're having problems, please let us know. We will try and address it. And so, having grown up in Ghana all this life, and a lot of folks who have grown in Africa, we grew up with some of these medical myths that we didn't understand then.
Okay.
We just, listened, and if you know the culture back home is you listen to your parents, you have to pay attention, you have to listen to your parents no matter what. So, hey, you obey before complain, right? That's what we used to call it. And so they would say things like, don't go out in the cold because you might catch kata.
Yes.
Kata is what we call it.
Cold, yes.
Kata is what and then a whole bunch of things that we'll be going into tonight. But before we go into all the details, some of us know you, my friends. I know you, a couple of friends know you. Tell us about Dr. Dekayi. I know you came to this country at a very tender age, went through the system at the time. And please tell us a little bit about your background and how you got here to be able to medical doctor.
So I am Ghanaian by birth, but I was pretty young when I came to the States. I was 5 years old and pretty much grew up here. My parents did a really good job of making sure I went back to Ghana often. And we were really involved in the Ghanaian community here in Chicago. So, Ghana is not foreign to me by any means or the culture, but obviously my, American upbringing is also alive and well in me as well. So, so I'm a doctor. I practice emergency medicine. here in Chicago.
Right.
And I've been doing that for about 4 years now,
Right.
solo. 7 years if you include my residency
Right.
training.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you started an organization with your friend who's your bestie,
Yes.
which is what gave birth to the organization Besties MD.
Yes.
And Besties MD is basically delivering health information on a sisterly level.
Yes.
To women.
That's
basically.
awesome. That's that's exactly what it is.
Okay, please throw a little bit of light on that.
So yes, my partner and I, my best friend, Dr. Chantal Stevens Archer, we've known each other since college. Actually, we met during like the orientation time and decided that we wanted to be roommates. And health education has always been very important to us.
Right.
And so when we started practicing, we knew that knowledge is power. So the more you know, the more you are able to be in control of your health. And unfortunately, there's a lot of medical information and facts that people just don't know. People are giving you medicines, they're doing surgery on you, they're doing all these procedures. You should absolutely know what's going on.
Exactly.
You don't have to understand it to the level of a doctor, but you should at least be able to, have a firm idea.
Okay.
So we decided to create Besties MD to empower women through health education. And we found that social media was the best way to reach the masses.
Okay.
And since we debuted 3 years ago, we've been able to get quite the following on social media. We've been able to do speaking engagements. We've written for magazines such as Ebony magazine and Empire Life magazine. And it's been amazing, actually.
And I know you have a podcast.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, so this year we started doing podcasts on iTunes.
Okay.
And so we have 3 episodes up, so you guys can check those out.
Okay.
We talked about your healthcare post-Trump. We talk about the relationship or lack of relationship between bras and breast cancer.
Okay.
And then we also talked about the stereotype of the angry black woman,
Okay.
which, can affect your mental health and things like that. So we try to keep it fresh. We try to keep it fun. We try to keep it short and quick so that you can get your information and keep on moving in your busy life. So all these listeners, make sure to check out our website. Is www.bestiesmd.com.
There's one initiative that you all started, which is the Water Only Wednesday.
Yes.
And I love that initiative. The concept was that every Wednesday of the week, you don't drink any other beverage except for water.
Exactly.
So the whole day, you just make sure you're drinking water.
Right.
And I really love that concept. You still have that program running, or you?
We do. I mean, we're not advertising it as heavily, but we're planning on it.
Okay.
And the whole reason why we started it is because we realized that a lot of us are walking around chronically dehydrated.
Okay.
And you don't actually realize how tired you feel, how fatigued, poor concentration, all from being dehydrated. And so we know that there's so many beverage options, but really just plain water is the best, you know? And so we were encouraging our followers to take pictures on social media with them enjoying their water and getting their friends to do it as well. So at least for one day in the week, you knew that you gave it your best effort, you know, because it's all about small changes. Sometimes you can't just make a big change right away. So you just start small. You pick one day, you drink water, and before you know it, maybe the whole week you're drinking water too.
And the essence of it is to help people change that culture of, not drinking water consistently. I love that. And medical mavens. You want to go into medical mavens?
Sure.
Medical mavens is geared towards young kids, young girls who want to go to medical school.
Right.
And because of the experience that you guys have had, you think that it's necessary that you teach these young girls what they are trying to get into.
Exactly.
And some of the obstacles in their way and how to navigate it.
Yeah.
In 30 seconds, because our listeners are waiting to hear that.
Sure. I mean, Medical Mavens is really our prize jewel of Besties MD. It is our passion project. And we know that, we didn't have, both Chantal and I were both first generation immigrants. We didn't have doctors in our families. We didn't have, big support groups when it came to, okay, how do I apply? What do I need to be doing? What needs to be on my application?
Okay.
So, Dr. Chantal and I were able to be a support system for each other.
Okay.
And we realized that the information that we have learned through our journey through medicine can be very useful.
Okay.
So we're very happy to be starting with the University of Chicago charter schools this fall.
Okay.
With our first cohort of young girls, high school girls who are interested in being in medicine. And we plan on being with them through high school, college, medical school, residency, and to have a fresh group every year.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then hopefully to expand it to other Chicago public schools as well.
So you guys have like a pipeline where you want to channel these young girls through.
Exactly.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, so you guys can check out that website too, medicalmavens.org.
Okay. Hey, Jocelyn Walton, you just joined us. Thank you so much. And Mausi, you shared the feed. Thank you so much for sharing it. Big up to you. Omar Tello Diallo, thank you for chiming in. Ed, you just chimed in. Please share the feed. Hey, Rudy, what's up? Please share the feed so our colleagues and our friends can also benefit from what we are going to be discussing today. Let's start with the cold. That is very common.
Yes.
They say
it's called the common cold.
yeah, it's called the common cold, and to a lot of Africans, at least in Africa, in Ghana, that I know of, and even so, I came here, I thought you only catch cold when you are exposed to the wind, a lot of exposure to it. What is the medical logic behind this?
Sure. So this one is actually not even just a myth in the African community.
Okay.
It's a myth here too.
Okay.
We hear people all the time say they went out in cold weather and then they got a cold.
Okay.
So this one is a little complicated because the truth is cold weather does not give you a cold, okay?
Okay.
But cold weather does cause some other things to happen, okay? For example, in cold weather, we're usually congregated together in close quarters. So that makes it easier for germs, viruses, and bacteria to pass from one person to another. That's a reason why we see colds more common in the cold weather, right? And it's interesting because the common cold, like sneezing, runny nose, stuff like that, that's actually more common in tropical areas, not necessarily in cold climates. And that's because in tropical areas, there's usually like a lot of crowding, poor nutrition, and then air pollution. And those things can definitely affect our lungs and our sinuses and our nose and all that. Yeah. But, the actual viruses and bacteria that cause a cold are not affected by the cold weather themselves.
Okay. But there's a chance that if you are overly exposed, if you're not properly dressed or, covered, and you're exposed to the wind or cold, there's a chance that you might catch cold.
You could catch a cold. And that's because the cold air does affect some of our body parts, but it's not what actually causes the cold. For example, when you breathe cold air into your nose, it actually causes a lot of warm blood to come to your nose, and that increases mucus, and that increases congestion. So you probably have the mucus, the congestion already, but the cold air just caused more blood flow to cause that.
Okay.
The same thing with like your airways and your lungs. People who have lung problems like asthma or something called COPD or bronchitis, if you get that cold air into your lungs, it can be irritating to your lungs, and your lungs can cause you to like wheeze. You can feel short of breath. But in actual colds, like the actual mechanism is from a virus or a bacteria.
Okay. Sometimes people will spot eczema on their maybe on their somewhere on their body.
Yeah.
So a friend has spot eczema on your body and say, hey, you've not been taking your shower daily. You've not been taking consistent shower. Sometimes you're growing up, your parents will say, "Machilamo," like people say, "Malena chinyo, machilamo," which means basically what they're saying is, you're not taking consistent shower, or you're not taking your shower well. The guns will say, and that is what they say is the reason why you have eczema on your body.
Okay.
What's up with that?
Okay. So eczema is actually a skin condition. And the reason why it happens is pretty poorly understood. We're not exactly sure, but it's almost like a sensitivity to some contents that are in your blood or in your system. And it manifests as rashes. Even babies have eczema, you know, and they're not necessarily, we know they're getting bathed, right? We know how our people like to bath babies, so we know that the babies are getting bathed, but still they can get eczema. And you can see the rash kind of in the elbows or behind the knees, but you can get it any part of your body. It's really itchy, it's flaky, it can look a little white as well. But the funny thing is that taking a bath is actually good for eczema. It's actually good for eczema.
Good in what way?
Good because when you take a bath, number one, you're keeping the area clean, right? No, if you have any sort of skin condition, if you don't keep that area clean, bacteria can get into your skin and can cause you to have an infection. And so keeping that area clean is good for the eczema.
I mean, to heal or to keep multiplying? If it says good for the eczema,
right? Because it keeps bacteria away from eczema,
okay,
which could potentially cause an infection. So bathing is good for eczema, okay, but not bathing doesn't cause eczema, but it may make your eczema worse if you don't take a bath.
Okay, so not taking a bath regularly
does not cause eczema, but it could make the eczema that you already have worse.
Okay, so that just comes by itself through some body mechanisms which you explained.
Almost like being very sensitive to some components that are in your body. It's called a hypersensitivity or an inflammation. It's related to like allergies or asthma. Eczema is it's all in the same family, and it's this hypersensitivity, this extra sensitivity that your body has. Now, that being said, even though water is good for eczema, there's some times where water is not good for eczema. For example, if you take really, really hot showers, that can cause the eczema to dry out even more. Okay. Also, if you take a lot of baths, you know, bathing too often can again cause the skin to get dry because you're stripping all your natural oils from your skin, and that can make the eczema worse. Scrubbing really hard, you know, with like our akucha and like loofah and all that.
Sponge.
Yes, scrubbing too hard will cause even more irritation, and you may actually scratch your skin and cause an infection there.
You know what? We used to scrape it.
Oh, no.
The surface of it with like a knife or you know, a hard surface or stone or something. We scrape, and then put anago samla on it.
Yes, that's that's
black soap.
Yeah. Oh, and that brings up a good
Ngashishin, charcoal.
Charcoal.
Ash. From like burn wood, right?
On
ash.
eczema.
We scrape it with a stone just to get the surface, you know, clear, so we can rub it with all these things.
And you know, that brings up another point. Something that's bad for eczema is harsh soaps. You know, you don't want anything that's too harsh, has too many chemicals or too many like fragrances or detergents, you know. Anything that's rough is not going to help eczema. The best way to control eczema is to keep that area dry, clean, and moisturized. Okay, so you don't want to just use a kind of lotion where you just squeeze it. You want something that you have to like scoop,
like yokumi,
cocoa butter, shea butter. There's some other ones that you can get from any place like Walgreens. It's called Eucerin
or Vaseline
or Aquaphor. Those are all really good, and it's best to put it on at night. Okay, to bath at night and then put the lotion on at night. It helps to keep moisture better.
Oh, all right, listeners. So it's not your fault that you are getting eczema. It's just your body reacting to certain allergies inside, right? Internally, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So there you have it. They say when you eat a lot of granules back in the days in Ghana, is when you break out because of granules, peanuts. So sometimes people just stay away from peanut. Imagine as you, like people be like, hey, ask for granule peanut, I don't want to go close to it because my face will break out.
Yeah,
Charlie, that one too. pimples.
Yeah, pimples.
Is it,
Yeah. So
we call it pimples.
that's actually another one that's also very common here. A lot of people think that peanuts can cause acne, and this one is a little true.
Okay.
And this is why. So acne or pimples is really just caused from a blockage or irritation of the sweat glands or the hair glands that are on your face. Okay. So either you're making too much skin cells, so it's blocking, there's bacteria on your skin, or you're making too much oil on your skin. So all those things block all of our little pores, and then you see the acne as a result of that. Okay. So actually, one of the best treatments for acne is an antibiotic to get rid of the bacteria that is on your skin, because that's one of the first things that you can do. If you eliminate the bacteria, then you might not have all that inflammation and blockage.
How do you eliminate the bacteria?
With the antibiotics, the medicine.
So you have to. So when you start breaking out, can you get some over the counter?
No, it's a very strong type of antibiotic, and it does come with some risks, especially like if you're trying to get pregnant. It can cause some defects, so it has to be prescribed by a doctor, and you have to be monitored while you're on it. So that's acne. Okay, the thing about peanut specifically, and the oil, obviously that's part of the peanut, is that it can trigger inflammation. There's some things that are inside of the oil that can trigger inflammation, and remember, inflammation or irritation is one of the things that can cause acne,
which we call pimples.
Exactly. So that's unfortunately, peanut oil can cause bacteria to overgrow in your gut, and some people think that can manifest in your skin. It can cause inflammation. It also has, oftentimes peanuts have a lot of sugar or something else called gluten inside of them, and all these things lead to inflammation, that clogs your pores and makes you produce more oil.
So there's a possibility that these things can manifest on your face.
There are some people that say once they stop eating peanuts, then they don't have the acne anymore.
Okay. Boils. When we're in Maui, hey, when we're growing up in Ghana, man, we went through a lot. There's a lot of things that we can say, all of them on there, but there were a lot of medical issues like measles, struggling with malaria and all that. And sometimes you catch ball under your armpit, and people will say, people will tell you, you have your blood, literally, let me just put this, you have a bad blood, like your blood is dirty, like you are not eating properly, or for some reason they kind of like attribute boils to the cleanliness of your blood, as though they were doctors and the blood types. People will just come up with all these things, and we believe them. So
Sure.
Is there any correlation between boils and your blood, the state of your blood?
Sure. So for those who don't know, a boil is also called an abscess. Okay. And that is an infection, period. Sometimes there can be little white things inside of the boil.
The mucus?
It's pus.
It's pus?
Yeah,
okay,
actually. And it's gross.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When he come pups. Oh.
Yes. So these it's kind of similar to acne, like we were talking about. We have sweat glands all over our body. We have pores all over our body. We have hair all over our body.
Right.
So when those little pores get clogged with bacteria or oil or sweat, it can cause this infection. All right. And also when you think about hair that grows back into the skin, for example, men who shave, or if you shave like your private area, when the hair, especially our black or African American hair, is very curly, so it grows back into the skin. And when that happens, it brings bacteria back into the skin. And so you'll get that boil. So even those guys that have a lot of bumps, those are all like tiny little boils, or something else. It's called folliculitis. So how can you prevent them? And do they have anything to do with your blood?
Yeah.
Sort of. There are people who have a weak immune system, and that makes them more likely to get boils. So we're talking about people with diabetes, people who have sickle cell, people who have HIV, people who have cancer, alcoholics. All those people's immune system is poor. So when that bacteria comes, their body can't naturally fight it. So it makes it easier for them to get it. But there are perfectly healthy people with no immune system problems who get abscesses or boils. So no, the blood is not dirty. It's the bacteria that's dirty, and the bacteria is what causes the boil.
All right. We would like to go for one musical break, but I like to say this one. CrossView Africa is saying that Gary causes blindness. We've been told this. We've been told this when we're growing up. Now, don't eat too much Gary or you will go blind.
Blindness.
Yeah, man. And hey, on the more serious note, I can't see the correlation. But we've been told this.
This is the only thing I can come up with. Okay, so Gari is cassava, right?
Cassava, yeah.
Dried, which is
Cassava, yeah.
which is a starch.
Starch.
And so sometimes when we have a very starchy diet, it can predispose us to diabetes. Okay, and that's a whole nother topic in our culture about eating too much starch. But diabetes can cause blindness. So maybe that's where the connection came from.
What I'm trying to tell you is, don't eat too much Gary so you catch diabetes. Say it. I mean, just tell us. Tell us directly instead of telling us we'll go blind when we eat Gary. And if you grew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s, how can you grow up in that era without Gary? Charlie, producer, give me one hot music. Listeners, we'll be right back after this. We left with the boil issue, right? The boil thing, right? Okay. They say, excuse me. Don't eat guava seeds. Don't eat when you're making your stew. Make sure you blend the tomato very well, or when using the apatoyua bagba.
Yes.
You make sure you mash the tomato very well. Get rid of all the seeds. Tomato seed, pepper seeds, all the seeds, guava seeds. Make sure you don't swallow them. When you swallow them, you get appendix. Literally, they tell you.
Well, you already have an appendix.
Hello. It looks like we have a caller on the line. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Yes, caller. You have reached the Progressive Mind Show. Please tell us where you're calling from and your name, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Ben, and I'm just calling from Chicago, just to bring into the midst of some of this African-related medical issues. First of all, you're looking at the Chicago Tribune today was a female genital mutilation.
Okay.
And, you saw the publication about it. And why to that extent some of this may come by, influenced by cultural, traditional, and religious aspect of it, is a mystery, and it's a myth also. But I just want to touch base on what, since the doctor is well related to female health, what is this female genital mutilation, FGM? Mostly we see that practice in the Arab and the Muslim world and the northern part of Africa, Ghana as well. What is the cause? What is the purpose? Does it really deprive women from being more sexually active? So that's my question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben.
Yeah, that's a great question. So female genital mutilation is definitely condemned in most of the world, but there are still some cultures that practice this. The theory is that, at least from my understanding, is it's a preventative measure in order to keep women from being promiscuous, where either the clitoris is removed and or the vaginal opening is sewn, so that really the only thing that might occur is urination and then having your menstrual cycle. But as you can imagine, I mean, that is a very psychologically and physically traumatizing procedure to have. And for most women, it does, remove the pleasure that comes from sex. And, both partners should be able to enjoy, intercourse together. So it's a form of control, it's a form of control. And it is definitely not a medically indicated procedure. And it can also be very dangerous for the woman, depending on the techniques, the sterility of the procedure. Women can get infections. If the opening is not made large enough for her menstrual cycle or urination, she can, retain some of those fluids, and that can cause a very bad infection. And a lot of women will also get something called a fistula, meaning there's some erosion. So maybe the bowel will connect to the vagina, or where you pee from will connect to the bowel. So things that are not supposed to mix are mixing. So it's a very crude practice, and it's definitely one that the Western world condemns.
Wonderful. I'm sure, Ben, that you have your question well answered by the doctor. And before the caller came in, we were going to talk about appendix and seeds.
Seeds, yes. So this is another one that is also pretty common here.
Before you go on, the number to ring is 773-942-7167. Okay, 773-942-7167. And please remember to share the feed as we listen to the doctor.
Seeds do not cause appendicitis. Or another stomach infection called diverticulitis.
Okay.
So number one, we all have an appendix, so you can't get it. You can't get an appendix
by swallowing seeds.
By swallowing seeds. But the theory about that is that these seeds will get lodged in certain parts of your colon or your gut. And when the seeds get lodged, they can cause irritation, inflammation, and then an infection.
Okay.
So there have actually been a lot of studies about this, only because it also was something that was thought to be common here.
Okay.
Maybe in America they're not grinding pepper or eating guava seeds, but they're eating popcorn or eating seeds of fruits. And the concern is, are these little seeds lodging in our bowel? And the consensus is no. Even the stomach doctors who I've spoken to, those precautions to not eat seeds is really out of date. The thing that causes appendicitis and the thing that causes this other thing called diverticulitis, it's usually stool. Okay, stool or poop that is so hard and it gets stuck inside the appendix, or it gets stuck inside of the bowel. Then it gets all inflamed and irritated, and then the infection comes from there. So what can you do? You can't. The stool is stuck in your colon. So that's why the most important thing to do to prevent these is to actually make sure you're having regular bowel movements, drinking lots of water, eating fruits and vegetables, all in an effort to promote good digestion.
And eating okra, a lot of okra and banana. It helps.
Yes, it helps.
Free your bowels, So, what's the chance that a seed, maybe a tomato seed or whatever seed, can literally grow in your bowel, or
Yeah, impossible.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Impossible.
Charlie the Warriors. Oh.
Impossible.
Wow. So it is false.
It's false.
Blatant false. Okay. When we went and played soccer outside, we came back home. Sometimes you have a little fracture on your ankle, or your knee, or you have a little fracture. Your parents would literally boil hot water and put, maybe dap it with towel or napkin, and then try to massage you, or try to, there are people who say, but I'm in Chong on the mount. Or I will say, but and then they'll be massaging and literally, squeezing your body or that place that you have the infection, the fracture, with hot water.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll say, put your whatever you have the injury at. Literally, they'll have you put the whole feet. If it's an ankle, they can have you put your leg in the whole warm water. Actually, it wouldn't be, say, like burning hot, but it's hot enough.
Right. You feel it.
Yeah, and they have you put your leg in, or the place of injury or the place of fracture in. So, what is that? Does it really help? Is there any correlation between hot water and or heat and fractures?
So, you know, most of the time injuries aren't fractures because fracture is a broken bone, and you know, so that one. For sure, hot water does nothing for a broken bone. The only way for a bone to repair is to be put back together and to allow bone-to-bone contact, and that's what allows the fracture to heal. And then you have to wear a cast and not put any weight on it, and you know, all of that. So that is a
Looks
fracture.
like we have a caller online. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from, please. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, caller. Please go ahead with your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, my name is Shehu. I'm calling from Michigan.
Hey, Shehu. What's up, my brother?
Hey, how's it going?
Now go to which one of the African myths do you want to talk about, or do you have a personal health question?
Yeah, I mean, I heard about Gary.
Yes, please go ahead.
Which one of the African?
Can you turn down the volume on your set, your device, please? Computer, radio. If you can turn it down a little bit for me, please.
Sure. As in, I heard about Gary. As in, I'm interested in talking about Gary. How do you do about without drinking Gary?
Well, what's your concern, though? Are you concerned that maybe eating Gary or drinking Gary would cause any health effect or, you know, cause blindness, as they say?
We're talking about the high like effect.
Okay. All right. The doctor explained it earlier, but if you missed it, no problem. She's here. Please, if you want to.
Yeah, I just turned in when she was talking about that. So
okay.
Oh, okay. So that's a great question. It seems like a popular question tonight. And so, you know, the only link that I can think about is that gari is made of cassava. And cassava, like plantain or yam, it's all starch, okay? And starch itself does not cause diabetes, okay? But it can make it harder for your body to know how to process starch and sugar, and that can lead to diabetes. And diabetes absolutely can cause blindness. So that's the only link that I can see. But if you're eating moderate amount of gari, if you're making sure to eat it with a lot of egusi and soup and whatever it is, getting your vegetables and your meat, and you balance the carbohydrate, then it shouldn't be a problem. You can enjoy your gari in peace.
So basically, if you understood what she's saying, there's no direct, link there with gari and blindness. If you, like you're saying, the only thing that might come out of eating excessive gari and not balancing it is maybe diabetes, and the extreme form of the effect of diabetes would be blindness. So my brother, you are very, very far away from blindness. Okay. So did your question get answered, or you want a doctor to explain a little further?
Yeah, I think that kind of explains it very well, because I just turned in where you guys were talking about that.
Okay.
I heard you mention that. But you guys are doing a very good job.
Thank you.
Keep up the good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. All right, that was Shehu all the way from Michigan, and if you want to ring in, it is 773-942-7167. 773-942-7167. We're talking about the water
fractures. Yeah. So I think what you're talking about is a sprain.
Hello, looks like we have another caller online. Hello, caller. Please tell us where you're calling from and your name.
My name is Teresa. I'm calling from New York City.
Hey, Teresa. Hey, Auntie Teresa.
Hey, Papa Linko.
Yes, Saya. Yes, Saya.
How are you?
I did. Way back.
Yeah, you're doing such a great job.
Thank
I'm
you.
so proud of you.
Thank you, Tess.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tess. Do you have a recommendation, question, suggestion, anything for us this evening?
My line is so faint.
Uh-huh.
I can barely hear you.
Okay, I was asking, did you have a question for the doctor, or do you want to contribute
Yes,
to the
I
show?
do have a question for the doctor.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, doctor. How are you? It's a pleasure to meet you and finally hear your voice. I haven't known you for quite a while, but we've not spoken yet.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
Yeah. I like the great insight you gave.
Thank you.
And my question is, when I was a young girl, like in my teens, I do like bananas and peanuts. We said granite those days.
Sure.
And they used to roast it with like salt.
Okay.
So the combination of the banana and the peanut was so yummy, and I have to have it every Sunday after church. That was my ritual.
Okay.
But then back then, I didn't get any breakout. My face, everything was so smooth.
Okay.
But now, as I grew up, I can't tolerate peanut.
Okay.
But then I can tolerate peanut soup.
Okay.
When I eat peanut soup, it's quite different. But when I eat like the raw peanut with banana, or I eat it on its own, I get breakout.
Sure.
So what is the difference? I wanted to know.
Yeah, in youth, sometimes it's easier to get acne.
I can barely hear you. I'm
sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so in youth, sometimes it's easier to get acne because of all the hormone changes and the extra oil on your skin. But there is something called adult onset acne, okay? And that does happen, again, usually due to hormone changes in the body. And so it's good that you've been able to identify something that is a trigger for you so you can try to avoid it. I was saying before that peanut has a lot of parts in it that can cause like a irritation, almost like a allergy type action, and so that can cause acne. The oils inside of the peanut. Sometimes when you make peanut butter or peanut soup, it's a little refined, so it's some of those irritants have come out of it. So it's fortunate that you can still eat, the azidechi and the soups and all that. So yeah. So that's good.
All right. And I have a second question.
Sure.
Thank you. When I eat banana by itself, I do get heartburn.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Heartburn usually comes from more acidic food, like lemon, orange, tomato, onion, but there are some people that just make too much acid in their stomach, and that acid can come up into your chest, and you can feel heartburn.
I do have acid reflux.
Yeah, so it might not be so much the banana, it might just be your body.
Acid. Yeah,
exactly.
All right, and my third question is, does our makeup brushes, like we ladies, does our makeup brushes cause us to break out?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Makeup brushes, old makeup that you share with other people, it all comes down to the bacteria and the dirtiness, So the more you can keep your skin clean, meaning washing it twice a day, and keeping oil and dirt away from your skin, it will help in terms of acne and breakouts. That's a great question.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
It's a pleasure talking to you.
Sorry, Auntie Teresa.
Yes, sorry, Teresa. We lost the call abruptly. I think she was wanted to say, I don't know, I think she was trying to say something, but unfortunately we lost the line. If you can call back, it would be great. 773-942-7167. 773-942-7167. And if you are watching live on Facebook, please keep sharing the feed, okay? And thank you. So far, looks like we have Teresa Dankwa shared the feed. Solomon Ajay Asamoah You joined the feed. Big ups to you. Abena Pokia Kutin Nuama. Hey, what's up? How are you? Rosemary Shilton Schaefer. Hey, how are you?
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Kweku Saint, what's up? Kweku Saint, big up. God bless you. Adofi Emeka, thank you. He says, good job, man. Thank you. Rose Ajiman Atefwa, you just joined in. God bless you. Victor Wafu, big boss. How far now? God bless you. Please share the feed for us, and so we can, our friends can also join in this wonderful conversation. Kyra Davis, hey Kaylin.
Hey Kyra.
Kaylin is also
Shout out
watching.
South Suburban.
Yes, we'll give you plenty of time to do that. All right, so let's continue with our conversation.
Okay. You know, so the only thing I wanted to say is most of the time injuries are sprains.
Okay.
That is different than a broken bone.
Okay.
That just means you stretch the muscle, you stretch the ligament, you stretch the tendon a little bit, okay? And ice actually is better than heat.
Hello, caller. Please mention your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, I'm Betty from Richmond Park. I have a question for the
Hi,
doctor.
Betty.
Please.
Yes.
So I went to boarding school in Ghana. I went to an adult boarding school, and there was this myth that as girls, you know, to keep your private area tight and good for your man, have to be like injecting ginger and
Wait, I'm sorry.
Ginger.
She said inserting ginger?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. You have to blend ginger and then dip cotton into the juice.
That sounds
and
hot.
Then
hot.
And then you inspect it there for a while. And then there's all these ointments they have on the market that you're supposed to use to make your area tight, you know, and nice for your man. How true is that?
Oh, wow. That is a fantastic question. You know, there's something called vaginal rejuvenation now that is becoming more and more popular, a procedure that helps to tighten the vagina. So it's on a lot of people's minds. As far as I know, number one, it's never really a good idea to put anything inside of your vagina. Okay. God being so great, he made it a self-cleaning oven. That's what we call it. It takes care of itself. It gets rid of all the toxins and everything that needs to come out. It will take care of it, you know. So when you put things inside of the vagina, especially things that might not be sterile, right, free of bacteria, you can be very susceptible to yeast infections like white, or other infections too. Yeah. So as far as I know, there's nothing, no ginger or cotton or anything that you put into your vagina that can help tighten it. The thing that can tighten it, because remember, the vagina is just a muscle, okay? And just like your muscle here, or, you know, the muscle in the legs, you have to exercise it. So we can talk about that.
Looks like we have another caller online. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, man. Yeah, my name is Duke, man. Yeah.
Stu, okay, please go ahead with your name. Sorry. Oh, okay, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I'm not going to one question, but, you know, as a root man from Ghana, you know.
Okay.
I can't understand why the doctor said something about start connected with plantain.
Okay.
You know, body, you understand? I don't say body, they contain potassium.
Right.
And iron and all sort of stuff. But we can rewind this program back again and check it out. Man, body, there's no starting body. Body is, you know, it's a very powerful thing, just like banana and, you know, a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Right. So if
and you know, you know, I really like this show, and I praise this show, man. I really like it, man. This is Kofi Duke, man, baby.
Kofi Duke.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you were saying, so if I heard you correctly, you were saying the doctor said something about plantain.
Yeah, about some plantain with some starch stuff, which I really didn't get that real clear. Because I know that potassium and that iron and stuff will help people to, you know, digest.
She's ready to answer.
That.
Okay, she's ready to respond. Please stay tight.
Hi, dude.
All right. Hi.
Oh, okay. So, you know, your body only sees three things when you eat food, okay? It's either a carbohydrate, which is the same thing as sugar, which is the same thing as starch. Okay. It is a protein like meat, right?
Right.
Or it is a fat like oil. Okay. That's it. That's it. All those foods, whether it's a fat, it's a protein, or it's a starch, they do contain minerals and vitamins that are good for us. Okay. So no one is saying don't eat plantain, but plantain is a starch. So if your diet contains too much starch, your body has a difficult time processing all that sugar, because that's what starch is. Whether it's plantain, cassava, yam, sugar cube, fruit, it's starch. That's what it is. Plain and simple.
Okay. I really thank you for explaining this to me.
Sure.
But really take down to the roots, man, all of us,
Yeah.
This Kofi Duke, man, I love your show. I love it. Bless it.
Yes, sir, Kofi Duke. Thank you for ringing in.
Yeah, man. I'll call you back later again next time,
All right, man.
Yes,
man.
sir, man.
Yes, sir.
Jaga.
One love. Thank you so much, Kofi Duke, for ringing in. The doctor was the lady, if you want to finish with her.
The young lady from Richmond Park.
Yes.
I just wanted to tell her that.
Do we have another caller online? Okay.
The vagina is a muscle.
Yes.
Okay.
Looks like we have another caller online. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from, please.
Hi, my name is Bridget. I'm calling from Woodridge.
Hey, what's up, Bridget?
Hi,
Please go ahead.
Hey, Gameli. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling.
No problem. I think you should come to the studio more often. You should be on Progressive Mind more often.
Yes, sir. Progressive Minds.
The chemistry between the two of you is so high. I was feeling here. Great conversation.
High tension.
That's what you are.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Good job.
Thank
you. And and one thing, I wanted to watch you guys on Facebook, but it's not working, so I have to cut you guys on the website, which is okay.
Okay.
I think what I wanted to talk about is, how when we have babies in our Ghanaian culture, our mothers would like to massage the baby with hot water and towel and douche the baby with warm water. Yeah, so I just wanted you to talk about that and how the effects of that douching, and also how necessary it is or how unnecessary it is.
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's something we definitely.
Have you seen the douching before?
Yes,
where they split the baby
and then just kind of like
into two.
and
then
pour
they pour the water like that
inside.
That makes more to know.
Yeah, so two different things. So in terms of bathing, and so for those who are not familiar with it in our culture, I'm sure not just Ghanaians, right? But in other African cultures, you are, the baby is supposed to be bathed, which means that they are, massaged with warm water, sometimes hot water.
Even their head.
Yes, to shape their head, to shape their nose. You hold their arms like behind their head, and behind their back. And you're really trying to promote flexibility in a baby. And if anyone has ever seen it, it's actually quite aggressive. I remember I was really shocked the first time I saw my auntie doing it in Ghana, but it is such a common practice. I personally have never heard of a baby being injured from the way that we bath them when they're young.
Or douching them.
So we'll do the douching one.
Okay.
But exercising a baby is good for flexibility. Okay.
We have a caller now. No, you have a chance. No, you have a chance. Okay. You have the chance to come. Hello, caller. You have a call online.
Yes, this is Ras back on the line again, and there are so many. I have so many questions, but I'm just going to ask only two of them.
Okay.
Beads. When we're growing up, ladies were some family enforced lady wearing beads on their waist. That would give them a graphical design shape when they're growing up. Secondly, my question is, when the ladies young girls start developing breasts, they kind of hit their breasts with a spatula, what we call the beguta. They hit. You see them hit it. I don't know the myth behind it. Okay. To soften it or to to let it grow in a kind of
are you talking about the beads on the waist?
Yeah, the beads on the waist.
The beads. Okay. Are you asking if the beads has any scientific effect on their bodies?
It brings out that graphical design of the woman shape.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Did you
also when the young girls at the puberty start developing, they use spatula to hit their developing breast.
Oh, yeah.
Or they use what they call the shea butter to, there's so many performances they do around it, and I look at that myth and say, where is it coming from? But they say traditional scientific meaning for it.
So great question.
So what we would do is we would Bridget's question, and then the other lady from Richtown, and then this one, if you can put it together.
Okay. So going back to the vagina, it is a muscle, and you have to exercise it just like any other muscle in your body, and that is what helps to keep the vagina tight. Okay. And so they are called Kegel exercises. You can Google them. But for women, it's the muscle that stops you from peeing, okay? So if you think about it, sometimes you just have to pause for a second, think about it, and squeeze that muscle. Try to do 10 sets, three sets of 10 once a day. You can do it when you're driving. You can do it when you're in the shower. You can pick a time so that you do it at the same time every day. Okay, so
and don't put any hot thing in your
don't put anything in there.
Any pepper in there. Okay.
And then for Bridget's question regarding so flexibility is good. Even in the American culture, there are people who do stretching exercises for the baby, but nothing as aggressive as I've seen in our culture. Okay, but all it is just to be careful when you're doing it. But babies are very resilient, I've noticed, okay? And then when it comes to the douching...
But before that, the hot water in patting your head and all that.
Yeah.
Now, does it have any medical effect? Hot water on the head and all that? Especially the head.
Yeah, so not to the brain, okay? But it can change the shape of the skull, because a baby's bones are very soft, which is why you're able to mold the head. Isn't there one of our societies in Ghana, they like it to be flat.
That is why a lot of Ghanaians have flat head. You see mine? Because they don't want you to have the round head, the big one behind. So they mold the head to look a certain way, and that is what they claim to be. Like you have a nice head, so
yeah, but it doesn't affect the brain or anything. The only thing I would caution against is burns. That is what I'm more concerned about when we're using extreme temperatures on our babies. And then the douching. So douching is never a good idea, not for babies and not for grown women. Okay, you don't want to put anything in there. It is okay to wash the outside of the vagina with a gentle soap, even for babies, or with warm water, but never hot water, never directly into the vagina. That skin is so fragile, okay, and it can burn easily. And that is not something that you want for your young daughter. And you don't want your young baby to have, babies can get yeast infections. You don't want them to have that, or bacterial infections from this dirty, bath water in a cup that's not clean that you're putting directly into their vagina. So not a good idea.
Great. And then the last call about
so beads do not have any scientific what's the word, scientific effects on the shape of a woman's body. But the thing is, in our culture, it has been propagated over and over that is attractive, so we see it as nice, but it's not actually affecting the shape of the body. Okay. When it comes to developing breasts, I am aware that oftentimes girls can massage their breasts because it's very painful with all the hormone changes. But does massaging or hitting the breast cause them to grow bigger? No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
No, it's based on your hormones. The size that your breasts are going to be is the size that they're going to be. Women have tried everything from exercises to rubbing quarters on their nipples to eating things to wearing doing all sorts of things in order to get a bigger cup size. But whatever your cup size is going to be, that's what it's going to be.
Oh, so nothing can change it. So not even
maybe surgery.
No. So listeners, there's no scientific proof or correlation between the typical African pattern of the breast for young adolescent girls with they use afake or akledachi. Akledachi in Ewe is
the spoon, right?
The ladder that you use to steer the banku. So there you go for that. Okay, so we've talked about hot water. Look, the relation between dementia and witchcraft in Africa or in Ghana is a big issue. What's up with that? Can you? Is there any? Please educate a little bit on that.
Yeah, I mean, in our culture, we attribute a lot of things to witchcraft, not even dementia alone. But for those of you who don't know, dementia is an illness that affects the brain. It's not reversible, and it's a progressive decline, okay, in your mental ability. It can go from everything to memory loss all the way to disorientation, confusion, and you can even forget how to swallow. You can forget how to eat. You can forget how to perform your daily activities. You can even forget how to cough, something as simple as coughing.
Right.
And so, there's a lot of different causes of dementia. One of them is something called Alzheimer's, which I think a lot of people had heard of. That is something called an atrophy or wasting away of the brain cells. That is Alzheimer's. And that's usually something familial. It gets passed down from person, to person to person. The other type of dementia is called vascular, meaning related to blood vessels. And so long-standing hypertension causes less blood flow to the brain, and that causes the brain to not function well, which is another kind of dementia.
Right.
And then there's one other more rare kind, which actually affects the brain cells themselves. But there's a lot of different things that can lead to dementia: family history, alcoholism, poor diet, stress. It can be, high blood pressure, diabetes. These can all lead to issues with your brain health. But, I'm a firm believer that the spiritual can manifest as the physical. We've even seen studies where people who have better emotions heal better after surgery, or people who have positive thinking have better outcomes to their diseases. Right. So I'm a big proponent for that, for our spirituality and our physicality. But to say the dementia is caused from witchcraft, I think it's false.
Well, and I think that the mistake a lot of us do, or the notion that if somebody has dementia, and I'll say that it's not like they have this notion and they purposely want to have it. I think a lot of times it's ignorance, because we relate, or we link the symptoms of dementia to witchcraft. Instead of seeing those symptoms and realizing that, something
is wrong.
Exactly. The old lady might be suffering from, or the old man might be suffering from these things, and not necessarily, start pointing fingers at them. Yes, in Africa, hey, we deal with witchcraft, and we deal with all the spirituality.
Right.
But I think that we should also have this at the back of our head, that dementia has these symptoms. The symptoms that you mentioned, forgetfulness, confusion,
not being able to do your daily activities, balancing your checkbook,
right?
Paying your bills, going to the grocery store. You literally forget how to do those things.
Yes, in Africa, all ladies don't pay their bills, but they might forget to drink their water, or they might forget where they left their walking stick, and they might be acting weird. And so I think we should also start looking in that aspect, start having a different mindset when it comes to the way we see the old ladies in Africa. And this is what progressive mind is about. We're trying to find the balance between the old and the new, how we used to do things in the past and what it is now. So listeners, we thank you so much for hanging out with us. The show is still the Progressive Minds. Doctor, the our people call it a tomami. I don't know how the Akans call it and the Gans call it, but oftentimes tomami, usually in the our language, in English, it's like wax right in your ear. This culture now. This is just personal hygiene. Then we'll go back into the medical myth. A lot of times you see people using the feather of the chicken, chicken feathers. They'll stick it in their ears, and when you hear people sounding like this, there's some, they're
enjoying it.
They are on cloud 9. Busily digging into their ear, with that chicken feather, or sometimes with the pen cover.
Yeah.
Okay, or they call it pen cap here.
Yeah.
tell us how dangerous that is.
Very, very, very. You know, we don't actually recommend putting anything in your ear, not even Q-tips.
It gets so itchy.
Right. And so the problem is the wax. So the best way to control wax in the ear is when you're in the shower to let warm water kind of go in your ear, turn your head, and then turn your head the other way to let the water come out. You can also do a combination half and half of hydrogen peroxide and water that helps to eat away at the wax as well.
Okay.
But when you put things in your ear, no matter what it is, you are you're moving the wax further and further and further into your eardrum. And you also have the potential to puncture your eardrum, which can give you an infection, hearing problems, ringing in the ear. You know, you don't want to puncture your eardrum. So,
and it's so easy to do that because when you were doing that, it feels so good. You might not even know when you know, because you just realize you find yourself going deeper and deeper because you are enjoying it, and before you know it, you've done a lot of damage to your eardrum.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll ask another personal hygiene question, and then we'll come back to the main topic.
Okay.
People say that there are different ways of washing your hands after you use the bathroom. You know, some say, you know, hey, I just pee. You know, why should I, you know, wash my hands?
Because you touched your penis.
Well, okay. Okay. Well, and others to say, you know, just wash the hand, the traditional way, just wash. Okay.
Okay.
Tell us, is there any specific way, you know, or a more hygienic way of washing the hands after using the bathroom?
Yeah, and there is. And really it's after anything, because even though we may think using the bathroom is nasty, there's a lot of even worse germs on other surfaces other than just when you go to the bathroom.
Really?
So this rule, you know, what I'm about to say is really applies to any situation, anytime you wash your hands. So you should always wet your hands, right, with clean water, running water. You take your soap, you lather it really well, and you want to scrub. The places that people miss the most are the back of the hands, the fingertips, and in between the fingers. So if you were to put a light on someone's hand after they wash their hand, this place may be clean, but all this place still has a lot of bacteria
and then in
between and then underneath the fingernails. And so you really want to, you know, lather really well. You want to clean back here. You want to go like this so that you can get your fingernails.
Your hand, and then in between the fingers,
and then scrub in your palm to get rid of the bacteria and dirt in your fingernails. And this whole process should not take more than 20 seconds. Okay, if you sing the happy birthday song, that's long enough to wash your hands.
And then do you have to go above your wrist, or?
Yeah, I mean, you know, surgeons do, but for the common person, no, you don't have to.
Looks like we have a caller on the line. Please call out. Go ahead with your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, again, my name is Chimbani Ponzani, and I have so many questions in mind.
Okay.
Now, one of the questions I wanted to go much in details, you know, there's a myth behind this menstrual blood, of which you call it botany. And it's believed that some of these ladies, when they put this menstrual blood in food and soup, people tend to fall in love with them. Now, I just want to, if you can demystify the idea behind it, if it's the reality that it exists, why they happen that way. And my brother, I guess you might have heard the story of botany for quite some time now.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, does it really work? What is the intake on it? You know?
Okay, the doctor will help us.
So from my understanding, I haven't heard that one before, but when a woman is on her cycle, she puts the blood in the food she's preparing.
Sometimes, you know, there's this... I don't know if it's not even a custom, it's a belief in African culture. And to the point that they have a name for it, botany. Botany means the process where a lady wants to win a man over. He wants the man, like they call it love portion here.
Sure.
So that is where it's alleged that they put the blood, the menstruation in your food.
So, you know, that's interesting because usually in our culture, when it comes to women and their menstrual cycles, there's a lot of either shame or shunning or, you know, don't want it to be around your wife or your girlfriend when she's having her cycle. Yet you don't know if the lady you bought food from at the market is also on her cycle or not, you know? So it's interesting to hear it in the opposite way.
But they're doing it in secret.
You wouldn't know.
Now, I think what the caller wants to find out is that Now it'd be difficult, caller. I don't think that.
I don't think I
there's
can answer
any,
that.
Yeah, there's no.
But you know, there is something to be said though about a woman's cycle. Okay, before she menstruates, when she's ovulating, she does release hormones and scents that are attractive to a man.
Okay.
So it makes him want to, you know, have intercourse with her so that she can get pregnant and have his child, you know. So there is some science in terms of hormones and a woman's cycle and when a man sees her as more attractive. You know, during a woman's cycle, her breasts are fuller, sometimes her hips are fuller. So she has more of that desired shape. Plus the man can sense, you know, these hormone changes, and that makes her more attractive to the man. So there's something to be said about it, but I don't know about what is it, botti?
Okay, African men typically shun sugar. They shy away from eating a lot of sugar, ice cream, and all that because they've again planted into our brains that there's a correlation between eating a lot of sugar and the potency of a man, you know. And so they say if you eat a lot of sugar, your penis won't be hard enough. Like, it'll be hard, but you know there wouldn't be power in it, you know. And then women too, when you eat a lot of sugar, they would have whites, which is eau de pois, they call it. In a few minutes, can you put the two together and then give us? Is there any correlation?
So actually, there is. Okay. And when it comes to a man's performance, there's a few things we think about. Stamina is one, how long he can go for, how hard, you know, his organ gets, how potent his sperm is, how many sperm is in it, how many of the sperm are moving the way that they should, you know, all of that. And so, you know, sugar has actually been linked to causing a decrease in testosterone production. And testosterone is the male hormone. That's what makes you a man. That's what gets it up and hard and stay for a long time and make the sperm that comes out good quality, fast swimming, you know, sperm. So yes, you know, sugar and eating too much of it can cause the gene that makes testosterone make it less. And so yes, it can affect it. The other thing is that, you know, sugar in our diet makes you tired, it makes you stressed out, it makes you anxious, and all of those things, as we know, can affect performance in the bedroom as well. And then lastly, again, people who have diabetes, which is a problem with sugar metabolism. The diabetes and the sugar affects the blood vessels and the nerves in all your body. And it can affect the nerves in the private area too. And it can cause, you know, decreased stamina, impotency, all of that, you know. So that's also something very important.
And then with the women, whites.
Yeah. So that's usually a yeast infection, and high sugar in the blood from things like diabetes and eating too much sugar can cause a yeast infection because yeast, the actual organism, likes sugar. You know, so women can get it, and men can get yeast infection whites underneath their breast. They can get it in their groin. You can get it in the buttocks area as well as inside of the vagina. All from high blood sugar.
All right.
Yeah.
Cola nuts. Africans chew it a lot. They claim it gives energy.
It does.
It
has caffeine in it. The same thing in coffee and tea, and so that is a stimulant. It stimulates your body. You're more alert. You're more awake. You're using oxygen better. Your muscles are working better. So yes, it definitely gives energy.
Do cell phones affect men's fertility because of the way we keep it in our pocket all the time?
It can. And it's not so much the cell phone, it's the heat that comes from the cell phone. So the same thing can happen if you wear tight-fitting underwear, tight-fitting clothes, if you have a fever, you know, if you overexert yourself, it actually affects the production of sperm, which is, you know, what is the potency, right? And so, you know, the sperm are just very sensitive to heat. But the good news is that it's not permanent. It takes 70 days to form new sperm for them to get fully mature. So even if there's damage because of the heat, if you give yourself 3 months, you'll be back. You'll be back on track.
So so you would recommend that men don't keep their phones in their pocket all the time, right?
Yeah.
Would you recommend a pouch to be on the safe side? I mean,
oh yeah, like to wear it on your belt hook.
Yeah.
That's better than in your phone where it can get a little close to the testicles.
Because that's like, it could be 24, it could be 14, 12 hours, and your phone is in your pocket.
And
the whole
these
time.
phones are radiating heat all day. You know, even if you don't necessarily have it on.
More so this when we're in summer.
Exactly.
Okay, and so last thing, fibroids causing miscarriages.
Okay.
Is that true?
I mean, I think we could honestly have a whole show on just fertility and miscarriage and fibroids, but
briefly,
yes, fibroids can cause issues with miscarriage and fertility, but it's not as common as people think. There's different areas of the womb where the fibroid can be. Fibroids can be as small as a pea to as big as a basketball. So it really varies very much on the size where it is. But has it been linked to miscarriages? Yes, it has been.
All right. Thank you so much. Our
You're
time is
welcome.
far spent, but we will give you the chance to give us your last word, and then I'll wrap it up, and then we'll call it an evening.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I love talking about health. I love health education. The more we can empower our communities, African American, Latina, anyone, we all benefit from that. So, I am always willing to come and talk about any topic. The good thing with being ER is that I know a little bit about everything, so I love to educate. So thank you so much for having me. I would just ask our listeners to be an advocate for yourself, learn things for yourself when it comes to your body. You don't have to know about it in big detail, but be a little aware so that you can make better decisions about your health. Because we only have one, so you have to treat it like gold. That's what we say.
And in 10 seconds, I know you being an ER department, you literally encounter life and death situations a whole lot of times. What would you tell listeners in our audience with regards to just life, appreciating the life that we have, every day that we have a life?
I mean, it's so important, and you and I talk about this often, because I will literally have someone come in alive and then they die just like that right in front of me. Healthy, and I do everything that I can in my humanly power to save them and to help them, but I lose patients all the time, and it just lets you know that literally your life can change in a second. Okay, so you may get caught up with some of the things that aren't important in this life, but the most important things personally for me are God, family, love, respect. Those are the things that are positive. Those are the things that are good in our society. And so really appreciating every moment, because you literally don't know if it's your last.
Yes. Hello, caller. You have reached the Progressive Mind Show. Please tell us your name and your question or your...
My name is Rebecca. I want to congratulate you guys. You've done a good job.
Thank
I'm
you.
so proud of you. Continue with the good job. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so yes, you were saying how we have to take life important.
Oh yeah. Okay. It's the little things. The little things are what are most important. So pay attention. Treat people well. Treat yourself well.
Okay.
Period.
All right. Before we sign off, I just want to remind